Let's take it up from the elections you just talked about.
Sure.
Once upon a time, we've always seen in the history, 52 years coming, where there would always been some kind of burning all the way after results are released, and now we're getting to see less of it all. What would you say accounted for this? Since you're saying you're a very positive Nigerian, what would you say you have seen that has accounted for all of this?
A number of factors. There is definitely what I call the evolutionary factor. We're obviously improving, and we're beginning to understand that the elections necessarily, it's a necessary process in ensuring that democracy takes root. So I think everybody is beginning to get that message. But critically, the person at the helm of affairs matters a lot. If you have a president, you have a governor, who decides that the electioneering system does not matter, then you have what you're talking about. People will burn, people will loot, and people will generally cause mayhem. But if you have a president such as we have, who is not prepared to stick out the neck for anybody, but ensure that the system works, then you will have the same result. The action and the effect are related. From the choice of Jega, I don't like personalizing issues, but from the choice of Jega to the most recent elections, the Edo elections that we saw, where people thought, oh, the movement of soldiers to Edo was to cause mayhem. As we all came to find out, it was to ensure that the system worked. Now, if we had a president who decided Edo must be taken at all costs, I'm not too certain that if Edo was taken against the will of the people, that people would just have sat down and watched it. So you see that even Nigerians are beginning to assert their rights, and that's really is where we should be going. Because when you do that, then the pressure shifts to the elected to ensure that they deliver. This, I think, is what's going on. Even with the seeming disagreement between the National Assembly and the President, this is what's playing out. Even the National Assembly, too, is on trial. Everybody's on trial. There's a desire on the part of the legislators to be proactive. So everybody wants to stand with the people. And that's why you see this seeming disagreement. Oh, we want X, we don't want this. You must enforce our resolutions, you should not enforce our resolutions. There is activity going on in the system. And I think it's in that light we should begin to see at the transformation that's taking place in Nigeria, and we just all need to stay on the positive track.
That's something I find very interesting in their reports. In words, when he talked about life expectancy, my first instinct was to ask you, are you past 52 yet? Or if, you know...
You want an answer?
Well, that's if you agree with that particular part. But Nigeria is 52, and a host of people have been saying that if we continue with our makeup as we are presently, without reworking how our federalism works, sure, chances are that we might not make it past 52. Okay. Do you agree?
Well, life expectancy is, you know, when they give you, I'm not a doctor, when they give you these sort of numbers, I just get worried. I just believe that good living. I don't know if there's statistics to show that long before now life expectancy was better than it is now. I don't know. But people will tell you our parents lived for long, perhaps true, but I don't know if that was generally true, because the infant mortality was very high in those days. So I don't know what sort of index. I mean, for me, life expectancy is what you make of it. And I think generally, again, there is a general consciousness on the part of Nigerians to be healthy, to do healthier things.
Maybe in the urban areas.
Even in the rural areas, you'll be surprised. The woman who walks the farmyards back and forth and all that maybe did not go out consciously to exercise, but is keeping her body in motion.
You know, now you talk about rural areas, perhaps we should also beam our searchlight and see how far we've fared in developing our rural areas. You know, we've seen loads and loads of programs before now, to the extent we had agencies.
D-Free.
D-Free, for the director for the rural areas. For now, would you say we have done pretty well for the rural areas?
I must confess, the rural-urban migration has perhaps increased. So maybe we haven't done as well as we should. And I think what we should be doing is try and see if we can reverse the trend. Right now, everybody is coming to seek fortunes in the urban centers.
Would you say it's a failure of the, would you say it's a failure of the local government administration?
Yes, I was just coming to that. It's the failure of the local government system. And that, again, is part of what we should be addressing. What's happening is that the local governments are not empowered to function the way they should function. Most of them are in the pockets, as it were, of the governors. And that's the very antithesis of why they were formed in the first place. So we should do something about it. And I think we can do something about it. Again, part of the face-off, I know, between the president and most of the governors is this issue of ensuring that the local governments stand properly the way the Constitution wants them to function. Right now, the budget, they're entitled to a certain percentage of the budget, but that goes through the governors. If there's a way we can get it directly to the local governments, then we can hold them accountable. Otherwise, you'll continue to have this rural-urban migration.
Yeah, so going back to the question of, how we're made up in terms of, our federalism.
Yeah.
Do you think that how we currently run our country, our government, do you think that we have a long life expectancy?
Good question. If you are an incurable optimist like me, yes. Yes, we'll continue to make the adjustments that need to be made. And that's the way I want to look at it.
So for you, a simple constitutional amendment is fine. You're not looking for a sovereign national conference?
I don't know when people keep talking about a sovereign national conference. In the first place, you'll never agree as to who should go there and how they go there and what they say. It will be plenty of motion. Nothing will happen. How are you going to select the people who go there? But we have something in hand that we can tinker with. And I think we should continue to tinker with it. What we need is the empowerment of the people. And that is happening anyway. That is happening anyway. Look at the fuel subsidy riots. No matter what anybody christens them to be, it's evoked a sense of accountability at all levels. And everybody is trying to make sure that we do not see those things. Protests are not necessarily a bad thing. We all have a role to play in ensuring that the life expectancy of this country gets longer than it is. Again, I always take you to the history of a lot of the countries we want to emulate today. They had very turbulent histories. Martin Luther King, at the time, blacks were being mowed down for no other reason than they were blacks, and nothing could happen. You couldn't get into a bus because you were black. In our lifetimes, I remember when I went to school in England for the first time, it was when I saw the serial King on the life story of. Now, when you live in Nigeria, you never experience discrimination, so I never knew what it was until I went to school abroad. I actually wept watching King, and I didn't believe things like that happened, but that was the reality of the United States of America. So, in a sense, there are things we must continue to do that should to strengthen our democracy. It's not left to the government alone, and that's the president's message. Okay. It's not left to him alone. We must all come on board.